Good evening and welcome to Burke Field on the campus of New Albany High School for exciting Indiana prep football action. After 2 weeks on the road, the Bulldogs are back on their home field to try and stop a 2-game losing streak. But it's a challenge in front of them tonight as they will play host to a Bloomington North squad. This is ranked number 2 in Class 5A in both the media and coaches poll. It will also be New Albany's last non-conference game of the season as they will close out the final 3 weeks with Hoosier Hills Conference foes. This is Sophia Corley, and I'll be joined tonight by Bradley Harp and Cooper Jaggers. Thank you for tuning in to WNAS.org for tonight's broadcast. NA had a rough outing at Columbus East last Friday, seeing any hopes for their second conference title in 3 years come to an end. The run defense struggled from the start as the Olympians outgained New Albany on the ground 237-6 in the first half. That resulted in 20 first downs to 2 for the Dogs, a 35-6 deficit at the half that couldn't be overcome. Donovan Taylor did pick things up on the ground in the second half to finish with 61 yards. Through the air, Chase Lush came in and had 2 completions of 40-plus yards to Taylor and Gavin Rand, part of 98 yards on 4 catches. We'll see if Lush's strong finish results could potentially cause a change in the lineup. Despite a 5-0 start to the season, the Cougars have not necessarily had what could be characterized as a dominating season. Their first 4 wins came by a combined 23 points. That included a 1-point overtime win against in-town rival Bloomington South. Last week, however, they took on a winless Terre Haute North team and took care of business. A 49-12 win moved them up to number 2 in the rankings, right behind Fort Wayne Snyder. Starting with tonight's game, their final 4 opponents have a combined record of 5-15, and North is poised for a potential undefeated regular season run. When these teams last met on a wet night in Monroe County last year, the Cougars only topped NA in total yardage 400 to 379. But the Bulldogs could not convert these yards into points, mainly due to special teams issues that left them with far inferior starting position. New Albany fell behind 28-7 in the first half and couldn't muster a serious challenge after that. Dakota Johnson, whose availability is questionable tonight, ran for 161 yards, and Kenny Watson had 53 in support. Looking back at last Friday night's action, Bedford North Lawrence held off Seymour 36-28 to remain in sole possession of first place in the Hoosier Hills Conference. Floyd Central, a half game back of B&L and the only other league undefeated, hammered Jeffersonville 42-7 and keeping the Red Devils winless on the season. Jennings County stepped out of conference play to rock Madison 54-26, and in the game heard on WNAS, New Albany went on the road and gave up over 300 yards, rushing in a 42-13 defeat at the hands of Columbus East. After the grants, we'll take a look at the other scores a week ago in the listening area.
Programming on WNAS being made possible this year by the support of the following underwriting grant sponsors, including Karsh Creeks Farms, J. Allen Formalwear, Hypercars LLC, Call's Body Shop, Colkin Coffee, the law office of Brian M. Abel, Mathis Pharmacy, June Tune Incorporated, Brian Jackson Insurance and Financial Services, Honey Baked Ham, Kabuki Express Incorporated, Louisville Orthopedic Clinic, and Martin's Graphics Incorporated. Those are just some of the businesses and individuals making high school athletics possible this season on your home for Bulldog sports since 1949, 88.1 WNAS New Albany.
Steve Cooley in his 7th season coaching New Albany and comes into this evening with a 32-35 record. On the opposite sideline, veteran Scott Bless has an 88 and 1-10 mark in 19 seasons. He moved to 100 career wins in the season opener, and overall he now stands at 104 and 139 coming to Burke Field. There are 2 undefeated teams left locally. Providence got to 5-0 by tripling the score on Charlestown by a 42-14 count, while Brownstown crushed North Harrison 40-7. Silver Creek remained the only one-loss team in the Mid-Southern by ripping Scottsburg 24-7. Paoli shut out West Washington 39-0, and Salem was also ripped, falling 46-11 versus Springs Valley. Crawford County remained winless after losing 47-29 to Mitchell and Corden, went to 0-5 with Eastern Pekin beating them 41-14. And Clarksville likewise is still searching for their first victory, bowing 35-8 to Eastern Green. Looking at the Hoosier Hills Conference standings, Bedford is alone at the top with a 3-0 record, while Floyd Central is a half game back in the win column at 2-0. Columbus East remains alive at 2-1 after the win over New Albany last Friday. Seymour and New Albany now each have 2 losses and would need a miraculous series of events to happen to put them in even co-championship position. Meanwhile, Jennings County and Jeffersonville remain winless in league play. Over in the Mid-Southern Conference, Brownstown now stands alone at 5-0, with North Harrison falling a game out after being blown out by the Braves last week. Silver Creek is 3-1 and would secure at least a co-championship if they win out. Scottsburg, Charlestown, and Eastern Pekin all have at least 2 losses at this point and would need a lot of help over the next month. Corden and Salem have identical 0-4 marks in the Mid-Southern Conference to bring up the rear. Full slate of games on the schedule for this last official day of summer. Seymour is at home as they host local rival Brownstown, the number 1 ranked team in Class 2A. Floyd Central has climbed to number 9 in the Class 5A rankings and have a huge one tonight as they travel to Columbus East. Jeffersonville will be an underdog tonight against Clark County rival Silver Creek. Jennings County and Bedford North Lawrence have identical 3-2 records, but the Stars will be a substantial favorite tonight. And in the game you're about to hear on WNAS.org, New Albany plays host to 5A number 2 Bloomington North. Elsewhere in southern Indiana, somebody will get their first win of the season as Corden travels to Salem. Undefeated Providence looks to stay that way on the road in Indianapolis against a winless Irvington Prep squad. The only matchup of 2 ranked teams down south comes in Class 1A, where Springs Valley and West Washington are tied for 13th in the polls. Perry Central is at home and looks to keep Clarksville winless, the same as Springs Valley is favored to do against Crawford County. Madison goes to Mitchell in a battle of 1-4 teams, while North Harrison looks to bounce back from their first loss of the year on the road at Eastern Pekin. The other games tonight include Paoli hosting Eastern Green, West Washington at home against North Davies, and Scottsburg coming south to face Charlestown. Maybe the biggest night of the year so far, starting with 5 games around the state of a 5-0 team matching up with another 5-0. 2A number 3 LaVille hosts 3A number 12 Knox. 2A number 10 Alexandria is at home against 4A number 12 Mississauga. A number 6 versus number 9 showdown, and a 4A is Columbia City goes to New Haven, and 2A number 9 Northeastern takes on a 5-0 Centerville team that somehow is unranked. And in the biggest game of the night, Class 6A number 4 Westfield hosts number 1 Brownsburg.